Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar, Get the Most Out of Your CDEs, featuring our integration partner, Procore. Let me start by introducing our speakers. We have today Tony Harbour, the Head of Technology, EMEA at Procore. Tony over here, he's very experienced in the industry. His expertise include digital transformation and innovation, commercial and project management, as well as technical sales. From our end, myself, Ward Turkiya, I'm the Customer Success Manager of Verifi3D here at Xinaps. I do BIM model auditing, quality controls. I'm involved in the BIM standards and protocols, as well as CDE management. Before we start, there are some housekeeping rules that I'd like to mention. First, you can use the chat section to ask your questions. There will be time at the end of the session for live Q&A, and the recordings of this session will be emailed to you after we finish the webinar.
Sounds like a plan. Perfect. Thanks, Ward, and great to meet everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for your time Friday afternoon. So let's get through this. Yeah, look, as Ward says, I have a lot of experience in the construction industry, spent the last 20 years within it, and moved over into the tech world about 3 years ago with Procore. My main role really in Procore is looking at technology companies, building out integrations that either plug gaps within Procore that our customers require, or good tech that's out in the industry that we really see adds some value to this. So I'm going to kind of go through a bit of a story over the next few slides on what Procore is about, what we do, and where we really kind of fit in with partners such as Xinaps. So I like to start this off with, it's great, you know, me talking about Procore and what we do and how we do it, but we rely on, you know, our peers, our customers and our partners really to kind of say what they enjoy about Procore. So I've put this quote up here from one of our customers in the UK and Ireland region, which really just kind of sums up exactly what people really experience about utilizing Procore across the board. Again, from a story perspective and experience that I've had personally on construction sites over the years, there's loads of different challenges. I don't need to teach many of you what those challenges are. You experience them probably on a day-to-day basis or have heard of them. But typically, these are the common frustrations and challenges that we hear as a company. You know, things like the pre-construction process being incredibly long-winded, outdated, often not digitized, or when it is digitized, it's very complex and convoluted for people to understand. The traditional kind of project management work on a construction site, although everybody's extremely experienced in it, we're moving into a digital world and a digital era. So we need to kind of be prepared and have our kind of day-to-day working life on a construction site, you know, up on par to be able to deal with that. Productivity of the workforce is obviously a critical importance as well on a construction site. And the biggest thing that we see a lot of with our customers is the financial management of projects. It's no secret that construction companies are probably they generate the least amount of profit on most of the industries in the world. So our solution is there hopefully to allow these companies to manage their finances better, to enable them to finish these projects on budget, you know, or even under budget, which is ultimately the problem. And I'll talk about this a bit further on as we go into this deck, but certainly with the digital technology that's out in the construction industry now, it generates a vast amount of data. What I've always said in this industry when we're going through this or this digital transformation is the amount of data that we generate is huge. People don't necessarily know what to do with that data. It's great that we've got it. They generally silo it, park it away in a corner of their office or a corner of their computer, but don't really know how to interrogate that and figure out what they can do with that valuable data. So we allow people to interrogate that data, make, you know, informed choices from that data to hopefully make their working lives a lot better. We all face these same challenges, you know, before I kind of showed you the challenges that we face, but you know, this data you see on this slide really is from our US kind of counterparts, but it is atypical across the whole of construction industry across the globe. You know, labour shortages, you know, the amount of customers that I speak to talking about that as a serious problem. Supply chain management, certainly when the UK and Ireland or UK specifically left Brexit, for example, left the EU, been a huge problem with supply chains, and managing that on a construction site, you know, is a serious issue. And regardless of the time it's going to take to solve that, it's still a problem from that perspective. Health and safety has always been a huge issue on construction sites. I remember going onto construction sites back in the day where it didn't really matter. You didn't need a hard hat, you know, put a hard hat on if you feel like you needed to. You know, now, thankfully, companies are taking health and safety incredibly seriously on construction sites, which is great, but we need to have a way of managing that. And certainly that's a big issue as well. And sustainability, I've had 3 calls today already with companies that sustainability is really top of their kind of pain points that they're really trying to target. So these are all problems and issues that people really care about within the industry that we all work in. Now, as Procore, you know, we're really interested in trying to break down all of these silos, break down the barriers of making life a lot easier for people to construct and work on that construction site. And we really focus on 3 main things. So when we focus on people, we really want to empower the people on a construction site and give them the tools and the ability to understand the data that they're gathering, make informed decisions on that data, but give them the ability to produce the best work they possibly can do and get home at the end of the day, which is ultimately what we want people to be doing here with less stress. We want to be able to do that. We need to make the processes of their entire job much simpler and much easier. I'm a big believer in making things as simple and as easy as possible for one to understand. And that's exactly the same with digital technology on construction sites. If you make it complex, if you make it extremely difficult for people to understand and even utilize it, it won't get used. So you have to make the processes easy and simple. But ultimately, what this all boils down to is you can have the people doing the great stuff, you can have the processes in place, but if the performance of all of that combined together isn't really giving the end product to people that they want, it's all pointless in doing that. So we have to combine all 3 of these in terms of making people's lives on a construction site better and for the good. And hopefully this is what Procore is actually trying to do. Why do people choose Procore? Well, you know, I've already mentioned we need to make it easy. Procore is a really simple program to utilize. You know, we like to keep it as simple and as easy as possible. It's got to be easy to adopt across the board. Connection between systems is incredibly important, and I'll elaborate on that in the next couple of slides. But, you know, the goal of Procore is to break down barriers and enable people to connect to whatever solutions they really want to. I use this line that I'm just about to say quite a lot when I'm talking to people, but if you think about construction in general, it's an incredibly collaborative industry. You have, you know, on some projects, 30 to 50 contractors all working on that one project to achieve that same end goal of completing the project, to completing their job. Software in construction traditionally hasn't been that way inclined. It's always been siloed effects. We have a software to do this process, a software for this person, a software for this industry. You know, to have all of those softwares connected, talking to one another is incredibly important and makes people's lives on the construction site a lot. We're committed as a company. You know, we don't often call our customers, we call them partners, because we truly believe that, you know, all of our customers have a vested interest in making Procore the solution that they want to use moving forwards. And we invite them to kind of give us feedback and comment on the products and the tools that we have available. I've mentioned about data and how important that is. So by giving these people actionable intelligence that they can actually make these informed decisions of is incredibly important, and something that we do. Combining all of that together, you've got to mitigate risk on a construction project. That's ultimately the important thing. You know, do we know where the problems lie? You know, on construction sites I've worked on in the past, it's all very well saying, you know, we've got an RFI outstanding, or we've got this wrong, or that's going wrong. But if you don't understand what the problems are behind that, you can't mitigate that risk and action them. And Procore, first and foremost, is just a construction platform. Okay, we were construction first. That's all we deal with. We don't operate inside any other industries at all. So we're really focused on construction and committed to making it, you know, a profitable and efficient industry, should we say. Again, these are all figures that I can really talk about, but this just goes to show you that some of the figures and the return on investment that our customers can achieve by utilizing Procore and utilizing systems like Procore to achieve that. You know, we've monitored that our customers on average can take around 49% more construction volume by using, you know, Procore within their business. That's a huge amount of work, especially when you're talking about some of these large main contractors and developers that we operate in. RFIs, I constantly talk about this when I'm talking to customers. It was a real pain point when I was on construction sites. You know, you set an RFI up to somebody within the construction office. It'd be a couple of days before somebody would actually receive that RFI, 2 or 3 days before you got an answer, a further 2 or 3 days before that actually came down to the guys on the site to action, and then a few more days to action that. You know, by using Procore, these guys save on average of 8 days just by answering an RFI. These things are almost immediate and instant to action within Procore. And again, I like to talk about our peers, talking about how great Procore is, but 75% of our peers agree that, you know, we reduce the rework costs and rework on projects. So that's testament to how it works. And ultimately, I spoke about budgets and construction companies not making money, but on average, people using Procore finish their projects around 15 days earlier ahead of schedule. That's a huge number, especially when you're talking about LADs and late fees for companies completing projects. So that's critically important for people when they're building the buildings we work in. Now, before we kind of go any further into anything else, I thought great, that's kind of set the scene on what we actually do at Procore and what the meaning behind Procore is, but it's worthwhile talking about what Procore actually does and what we do cover. So just to give you a brief kind of history in Procore, Procore started back in 2002 on the west coast of the US, and our founder, Tui, was constructing a building in California. Wasn't present on site while it was being built, was talking to 5 or 6 different contractors. His previous business was a software business, and thought, this is crazy. Why is nobody on this construction project talking to one another? Why is all this data coming in and I'm seeing 5 or 6 different versions of it? So came up with the idea of a project management platform for somebody to actually really simple to use and to push out. Honestly, in the early days of Procore, it really bombed. I've heard some stories of, you know, when Tui and his kind of co-founder were literally going out to construction sites, hacking into to phone lines on construction projects to show these guys, hey, look, a cloud system's really going to work for you to manage your projects. Nobody really believed him. When Procore really took off was in around 2006, 2007, when the iPhone was invented. And all of a sudden, everybody saw the benefit of utilizing a mobile device with all these different applications on, that you can actually do your work in your hand rather than sat in an office on a computer or within a clipboard. So that's kind of really important to note. We've since grown, so we've been going a long time now. We've since grown as a business from outside of the US. We're now a global organization. We operate in the US. We have offices in UK, Dublin, France, Germany, Middle East, APAC. So we've got Sydney, and then we've got offices in Singapore as well. So we have a global reach. In terms of customers and use, we have around about 14,000 different contractors utilizing Procore, which equates to over 2 million users using Procore at any one time. So we have grown that platform. And the idea behind Procore is really, really simple. You know, we're a platform first approach. So we've always been a platform. We've never become a platform by acquisition. Platform's always been our answer. And the whole idea behind Procore is to connect all of those different project stakeholders in that single platform, all sharing and collaborating data, having access to each other's work to understand what's going on that construction site. We have 4 main tools in Procore. So we have pre-construction, which is tendering and estimating. We have a 2D takeoff solution built in within Procore. Project execution or project management really is our core tool. And that's where probably 95% of our customers spend all of their working time within Procore. That has things like quality and safety modules. It has 2D and 3D viewers within Procore, project schedule viewers. It has inspections, RFIs, that type of thing, that the mundane tasks that people are utilizing on that construction project. Resource management or workforce management really is a tool which manages the time of people on a construction site. So monitors times in, times out, which is really for payroll purposes. And then we have a financial tool. Now, we're not an accounting system. We're not an ERP. We're not trying to displace like an SAP, Dynamics, Sage, QuickBooks, any of those guys. The idea behind our financial tool is, and I say this again a lot to people, our biggest competition is Excel on every single construction project and companies that we talk to. Unbelievably, companies still manage their construction projects on Excel spreadsheets. Okay, so that's a really big problem from that perspective. We allow people to give them real-time budget views when they upload that data into Procore. I mentioned about Procore being a platform, and that's critically important because you may hear a number of companies say, hey, we're a construction management platform. You know, we've been a platform. what I like to see, what I say in the industry, there are different types of platforms. Okay, typically what you'll see with a lot of companies when they say they are a platform is that they become platform by acquisition, or they become platforms by bolting different solutions together to manufacture a makeshift platform. Now, while on the surface this looks fantastic, you have all these different solutions that all talk to one another very modestly. There's all sorts of problems with utilizing these types of platforms. There's no connected workflows. You can't kind of assimilate data between the two systems really easily. Typically, you can't run any analytics across those different solutions that you have within that platform. The data is really siloed in individual areas, and typically you're not going to have, you know, a marketplace or an ecosystem of surrounding partners to help support that platform moving forwards. If we flip over to Procore, because we've been a platform from day one, you know, we add tools to that platform, but the platform really is the core element of Procore. So by doing that, everything's completely connected. All of the tools are really flexible and interoperable with one another. You can search across each individual tool, project, company, whatever it may be. And more importantly, we have that connected ecosystem, and we enable people to gather the data and to run analytics on all of those different solutions that we have within our platform. Now, by doing that, and I talk about this connected ecosystem, we actually have the Procore marketplace, which is the department that I work for within Procore itself. Now, the marketplace was developed by Procore back in 2016, and the whole idea behind our marketplace was originally to allow our customers to connect to, you know, traditional systems. So it might have been Outlook, you know, Google, Gmail, it might have been their Zoom meeting, Teams, calendar solutions, document management solutions. They were really kind of the original ways that people wanted to connect their back office functionality into Procore. As we've grown, and as our kind of partners and our customers have really said to us, hey, we really using this software, we want to connect this into Procore. In the early days, Procore would have thrown a resource at it and said, we can build that, no problem at all, use our tool. What's become really apparent is there are companies such as Xinaps that do this thing way better than Procore are ever going to be able to do, and that's really where the marketplace has really grown into, and what we've become. Excuse me. So the fact that we're a platform, and the fact that we're trying to break down these barriers, we're a completely open platform. So we want as many people building as many integrations connected into Procore as possible, because we want people to do their best work without somebody saying you can't use that because it doesn't, you know, connect into Procore. We can't use this because it doesn't talk to Procore. It's a different software system completely. So we've built the Procore, like I said at the beginning, around gaps that we have within Procore, which we know we have gaps. We're never going to cover everything. Just standard back office functionality, legacy systems that companies have been using for 20 plus years that they just cannot get rid of and they cannot move away from. So we allow those companies to connect into that as well. And like also, as I said, industry trends. You know, everybody's talking about chat GPT and AI at the moment. You know, we're constantly getting asked by our customers and partners, can we integrate with these type of systems? Is this going to make our help? We can help them to do that. And any pain points they're experiencing, people come to us often and say, look, we're having a problem with equipment management, we're having a problem kind of assimilating coordination issues on BIM drawings, for example. How can we kind of make that better in our lives? So this is how our marketplace has evolved, and these are just some of the categories that we have available, in the important categories that we have available within the marketplace itself. Our marketplace is global, so any of our customers across the globe can view any of these integrations that we have available. And because we're open, it means we're also quite large. So we have around 500 integrations for any of our customers to sift through and to go through. And the other important point to note here is that we don't sell any of our integrations. So we're not a traditional app store marketplace that you would see with other companies. We're more of a consulting service. So the way it typically works is we're not the experts on our partner solutions, our partners are. So the idea is that our customers will approach us and say, hey, we're having problems with coordination issues on our BIM models. How can we make this better on our construction site? We would talk to companies such as Xinaps and say, hey, this company is really good for this type of solution, the pain point that you're experiencing. We introduce the partner to the customer directly, and we give them that direct feedback and allow them to kind of make the choice that they want to for the solution they need on their individual project. And that's pretty much it from my side of things. And look, I think I started off with a quote from one of our customers talking about how Procore is utilized and why they use it. And I like to end these type of things again with quotes from one of our kind of long-standing customers. And I mentioned partnerships. That's the really key thing with us. You know, we're not just another software company that's saying, hey guys, we've got this project management solution that's going to solve all of your troubles. We know it's not going to, but we're here to partner with you guys to make sure that you can build your best projects more efficiently and effectively. So thanks very much for your time, and I'll hand back over to Ward.
Thank you very much, Tony. That was really interesting and insightful. And I agree with you. The construction industry is now more collaborative than ever. And that's why we have this integration. Thank you very much. I will take it from here. Okay. So in this part of the webinar, I'm going to delve on how we can clash and validate our building designs using Verifi3D and how we can perform this process efficiently and collaborative as much as possible using the integration with our partner, Procore. Okay, so the transitioning towards digitalization in the construction processes has created more opportunities to innovate in the industry. And that's why our next generation BIM model checking tool is based on automation and machine learning techniques, which enable us to enhance the workflows of our customers. It offers an advanced rule-based engine that allows our users to navigate freely through their BIM model data, as we support closed and open BIM processes through our smart algorithms in the browser without a pre-installed or a third-party solution. As we consider ourselves the next game changer in the industry, we understand that the efficiency is crucial for our users. Using Verifi3D has increased the efficiency of the model checking process for our customers by 30 to 40%, and this is a proven case study. And the advanced smart algorithms of Verifi3D helps identifying the design issues effectively, as well as the variety of rule checks that we offer for your BIM models. As part of our compliance with the ISO 19650 standards, we offer a multi-integrations platform, which enable our users to access their information regardless of the CDE they are using. What makes us unique is the impact that we're having on the model checking pain points. We offer a universal rule-based engine that can fit all the purposes of your BIM model coordination and validation process. Verifi3D can be used for different construction disciplines, such as architectural, structural, MEP, and for different use cases, such as BOQ and cost calculations, which enable us to expand our reach across different industries, of course. Also, our cloud-based smart algorithms eliminates the need of pre-installed software, as I told you in the beginning, to coordinate your models. And most importantly, we focus on the scalability, as we are eliminating all the manual work that was carried out during the model coordination phase. Now for our Procore users, we add value to their workflow in many ways. The first one is that we're using multiple file formats. We support DWG, Revit, IFC, and also BCF files. They can also share filters and rule sets that were originally created on Verifi3D to other Procore projects. We can also check against any other standard that they are following in their organization for the BIM coordination process. Procore project members can be added to your project on Verifi3D, which enhance the overall collaboration. And the files don't have to be converted, so no data loss or inconsistency, as we are only reading the files and not copying or modifying them in any way. And last but not least, people, or let's say project members on Verifi3D and Procore, they can sync their issues. At the moment, Verifi3D, you can identify, assign, track, and report issues on Verifi3D's interface, and soon our Procore users will be able to sync their issues back to Procore Issue Tracker without a need of a plugin or a third-party tool. So as a Procore user, you can always find us in the Procore app marketplace. In the industry, Verifi3D can take part throughout all phases of construction, including late, early, and pre-construction stages. The cloud-based and user-friendly UI of Verifi3D makes it easier or a better alternative for other desktop applications, which does not support all the file formats that we do. It supports project planning and design coordination, which assist in creating accurate budgeting and scheduling. And for our Procore users, you can find us in the Procore marketplace under BIM services section, as you can see in the slide. So this is Verifi3D homepage. This is a project hub. I've currently or before this session, actually, I've imported one of my projects from Procore. Let's first go to Procore to see how many projects do I have there. So I have 2 projects, as you can see, demo project A, and I have the one get the most out of your CDEs project. So what I did is that I imported one of these projects to Verified. We're going to do model checking over there, and then we're going to share some filters, rule sets, and import the other project, A, and then carry out a model checking process over there. The first one is a hospital project, and the other one is a residential building. I think it's a small model. So we're gonna start by importing the first one. So we're gonna go to Procore. And then, as you can see, my account is already logged in. My Procore account is already connected to my verified account. So if you would like to add another one, you just click on add another account, and it will direct you to the login page of Procore, which can, after you put your credentials, will redirect you to verified. So now if I choose my account, as you can see, these are the 2 projects. I've already imported this one. So I'm just going to import demo project A. Okay. As you can see, it opened for me. Here you have the project people, in which we can add project members from your company or external project members. Let me go to the project hub one more time and type Procore. So I have demo project A, and I'm going to go to get the most out of your CDEs. So this is the first federated model that we're going to use. On the left, you can see for a proper model checking process, we follow 4 main stages. The first one is to organize using the projects and the folders that you have within your projects. For instance, this project that we've just imported from Procore, we're going to navigate through its files, and then we start classifying the data that we have within the models using 3D viewer, the data viewer, and most importantly, the filters. After that, we validate these results using the rule sets that we have, and at the end, we report it, and we put it on verified. So for now, I'm just going to load an IFC file. I think most of us are familiar with IFC. We can add these ones. I will just click on Add to Builder, which will start loading in the model set builder and show them in the 3D viewer. Let me just minimize this one. So this is about 2 GB file. As you can see, it's loading very quick because we're not depending on my machine itself. We're relying on the network speed. This is the only limitation that we could have. But as you can see, it's quite fast. Yeah, so now we're loading. This is the architectural one. Let me just wait for it. Okay, very good. So after we loaded our files, you can see these are the versions of the file. As you can see, this is the first version. If I have a newer version on Procore, I will read it also on Verified. So we can navigate through the files. We can just navigate through the, as you can see, this is a very detailed, model. You can see from here. I think this is about LOD 400. I'm not sure. But if we go to the data viewer, we allow our users to navigate not only the graphical information. So similar to the 3D viewer that you see over here, you can see the data viewer, where you can access all the non-graphical information of your federated model. You can group these information all together. So I'm using an IFC file. If I would like to group all the elements here according to the IFC entity property, I will just drag and drop over here, and you can see all the elements are grouped according to their IFC entity. Let me reset the view and go to home to reset the camera settings, and then go to filters. Filters is the core part of the classifying process. I've already prepared some example filters. So here, I'm just going to run this one. It's going to retrieve all the doors that we have in the model. And you can see the results in the data viewer, of course. Now, these are all the results. These are all the doors that we have within this federated model. What we can do is that we can make a combination of filters. So the filter over here, as you can see, it uses one statement. We can use another statement to narrow down the results more. And this is what I did in a separate filter. So you can see that here I'm looking for the level, the first level. I'm specifying my my filter. So if I just click on home and then run the other filter, it will retrieve all the doors and the ones in the first floor. So if we use the context slider to see the actual location for them, you can see it is in the first floor. Now the integration with Procore allowed me to share these filters that I've just created with other Procore projects. So if I go over here, let me just share the IFC ones, and then click on Manage Sharing, and then choose the project that I've just imported from Procore. You can see this is the one, and then click on Apply, and then Close. Now, if I go to the other project, I will see this filter, and this is what I'm going to show you after I finish from this model. Okay, so this is for filtering. The next part would be validating. So now I just filtered elements. I can retrieve doors. I can retrieve other elements. As you can see, I can make a combination of filters, and I can group all these results. And these results can actually be exported into Excel and comma-separated value from here. Very good. So let me just close this one. Yes. And then go to rules. Now for rules, Verified allows me to have 4 types of rule checks: clash checks, property checks, free space check, and the duplicate check. The clash check is the traditional one that we know. We just specify one of the base elements. So over here, we have walls against ducts. If I set the parameters for this check, you can see in the beginning, I specify the base filter, and then I make a colliding filter. I can make as many filters as I want, and then give it a tolerance, and then just run this rule set. Now, if you would like to add another filter or modify one of these filters, you can just click over here. And as you can see, the filter editor will appear on the right. So you don't have to go back to filters and create them from scratch. Now, these are all the results that we have. What we can do using Verified, and this is a new feature that was recently added to Verified, is that we can group these clashes together. So as you can see, we have different and multiple clashes. For instance, for this specific wall, we have many clashes. You can see 1, 2, 3. What we can do is that we can get the GUID for this wall. As you can see, this is the one. I can copy it and then go to my results and then filter these results according to the GUID of this wall. And you can see these are all the clashes that we have for this wall specifically. I will just drag and drop. And you can see it over here. This is now a group of clashes, a group that contains 8 clashes total, according to this wall. What I can also do is that I can click over here, give it a color. If I would like to see it, just give it dark color so I can see it properly in the 2D. So let me isolate it. So you have this group of clashes. And now if I just increase the shadows a bit and then go to 2D, you can see the exact location for this group of clashes. Now this is very interesting because this rule set, I can share it among other projects. So I will share it to the other project from Procore. Or let's share the free space check, because I think this is a very interesting one, because we don't have time to run all the checks. So I'm going to share this one. If I go to the issues one more time and see it. So these are the clashes. I can report it. And how do we do that? By clicking on the plus from here and then take a couple of screenshots, which can be saved into BCF file. I can assign it to someone. I can put my name, give it a date, prioritize it, give all the other entries, and then type over here test, and then save it, which will be saved on my verified list. Now, what I can do is that I can export this issue into BCF file. Now, before the end of this year, we're going to be also integrated with Procore issues. So if you click over here on select provider, you will see Procore issues as one of our issue providers. Okay, let me just reset and then go to project real quick and then type Procore and then go to the other project that we've just imported from Procore. So this is like a small project, so it's not going to take a lot of time. I'm just going to import some IFC files. I'm going to import these two. Go from here and then add to builder. Okay, so as I was telling you, we do not copy the files. So these files are not being copied from Procore. What we did is that we only read the necessary information from these files for the model checking process only. So you don't have to worry about modifying it or copying it. Also for like privacy and security issues, we do not copy them at all. I see that there is, yeah, the architectural one is still processing. Let me just load it one more time. Okay, I think it loaded. Yeah, yes. So now after we loaded our files, let's go real quick to filters and then import the filter that we've just shared. I will click on add filter set and then add shared filters. As you can see, this is the filter that we've used in the previous project. You can see doors and doors in the first level. If I run this one, it will work. You can see it will retrieve. These are two completely different projects. So it doesn't matter if you're working with different projects, as long as you create your own filters, you can share them among all the other ones. And the other one, yeah, you can see these are only in the first level. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and for rules, we can just add a new rule set and then add shared. You can see the free space check. I did not show you the free space check. That's why it's interesting. The free space check creates a geometry in front of a specific element to check if there is enough spacing in front of it to open, let's say, in doors case over here. So if I run it, it will show you if there are any clashes in front of the door. So these are the clashing results. You can see that we have two failed. Let me just zoom in real quick. Yeah, over here. You can see the door over here cannot open properly because at some point it will clash with the wall. As you can see, this check was created for the other project, not this one. But the integration with Verified allowed me to share it with my other Procore project. We help to automate your model checking process and enhance collaboration, all in a browser-based environment. And of course, along with our integration partner, Procore. I think we can open the floor now for any questions. Feel free to drop it in the chat. You can unmute yourself also and ask if you want. Let me first go to the chat and see if there are any questions over there. Okay. Verified and Procore are not actually CDEs for designers and constructors. So Procore is the CDE. If you're working with Verified and Procore, in this case, Procore is the CDE and Verified is your model checking tool that validate your models. Tony, do you have any questions on the integration?
No, look, I think it's great, and I think elaborating on what that previous question was regarding, you know, Procore being the CDE, I think this is a perfect example, and what Ward's just shown of, you know, this type of activity can't be carried out in Procore. Okay, so you know we've got a viewer within Procore that people can view their model, but actually this goes back to that point I made earlier about the data that's being gathered on that construction site. You know. Procore is the platform that's being used by the people that are actually carrying out that work on the site. You know, typically these BIM models are being managed by the architects or the engineers on the project, so they're going to be operating in this environment on a day-to-day basis. By enabling them to carry out those clashes, you know, in their office environment, off-site, wherever they might be, and then providing that information to the guys on site, that's actionable intelligence that people can get on with their job. They haven't got to go back and talk to 10 or 15 different people to try and get it done. So this just really kind of highlights the power of how these type of solutions, as I said, break down the barriers, enable people to carry out the work they need to when they need to do it without having to wait for lengthy kind of process.
Indeed. I see there is another question other than the screenshots and BCF community. Does Verifi3D create reports? Yes, it does. We can create reports. So I'm sharing my screen over here. You can see these are the results of my last check that I did for the doors. These results, you can filter them out and export any results that you want. However, if you would like to export overall, you can just click on export. And as you can see, you can export to Excel and comma-separated value files. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today in our webinar for Procore and Verifi3D, and hope to see you again in our upcoming webinars and events. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.
Likewise. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks very much.